call to order the Town of White Bluff work session. And just as a reminder, we're not actually voting on anything tonight, we're just discussing. So first on the agenda, do you need to do a roll call for the work session? No, you're good. Okay, no, okay. So we will take a look at the minutes of the the December 3rd, 2024 meeting.
Mayor, I would ask that the council pay particular attention to, under public safety, consider fire department equipment. Just make sure that that's worded the way everybody wants that.
Any questions? Okay, if there's no questions about the minutes, we'll move on to budget and finance. So we have the November 2024 financial statements. Misty, is there anything that you want to go over specifically about this? Okay. So one of the things I noticed is that in terms of where we're at year to date, it's roughly 40% of the budget, and the revenues are roughly at 49%, and total expenditures are at 70%, but that just kind of fluctuates. That's not saying that we're going to be over in terms of expenditures. It's just how things have been spent thus far.
And we'll have a big boom in the property taxes coming in, and then again in February. So those will go up.
Any questions so far?
What is in the general fund currently?
So at this time, if you look down, you'll have down here budget-wise, as far as what's went out, what's come in. But this is just, it's not exact. It's just on that day and that month. So today is a totally completely number, completely different.
I'm trying to read this. So, what does that tell me? Estimating that we're going to have 1,380,000.
Yes.
At this time.
Yes.
So what is this?
So that's for that month. This is all year. Yeah. So, and you have to take into consideration there's interest in there that's in the local government investment pool.
Right.
That's not here, but it's reflected because we put it in.
I mean, but the money that we had in the general fund previous fiscal year carried
any other questions about the financial statement? If not, we'll move on to the next item. And my screen's acting up. Okay, next up we have the request to have the property at Man's Market rezoned. And there have not been any changes since the previous meeting.
Mayor, if I may, I think it's not in that PDF, but the state contract on the desk, I think is what's next on the agenda.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. Okay. So we will back up to the access control. And so we have the three different estimates from R.J. Young, Hiscall, and Convergent. Is that how you pronounce it? Okay. With the R.J. Young being the least amount with state contract, $52,320.03.
And we had budgeted the $87,875, so,
So well under budget.
yes.
Any questions about that?
So it'll be up to the council on Tuesday whether or not to award one of these three.
Yes. Okay, and then underneath that, we have the document scanning. Just two estimates for that. The R.J. Young at $26,310, which is a state contract. Data Bank was also on the state contract, but it is $36,060.65. So we'll review that on Tuesday as well.
I have a question about the access control bids. Where R.J. Young specified that they're using Picato products. And if I remember right, that's what we were recommended to use is the Picato products, right?
I'm sorry, that we're required?
We were requested,
Oh.
So what are the other people, other companies using? Do we have any idea if they're using the same thing or?
We do. I didn't include it in this, but I can change this and have it ready for you.
Was it you that recommended the Picato?
Yes.
Okay, so.
They have them down. I didn't get it in here, so I can redo this and put those in there as well.
Through memory, are they using the same thing?
They're not.
And how do you feel about that?
Well, you know, I don't specialize in that, so
No.
one is, I'm looking at the cost
Right.
effectiveness of it.
Well,
And
apparently, you know more than I do, apparently you know enough that you like the Picato product.
They are good. I actually, when I was calling around and trying to get some of this, I had another company tell me that Picato products were really good. So at that point, I was like, okay, that's coming from a different company.
Okay.
I do know R.J. Young is a well-known company, so that's, you know, I feel like we would get a decent service from them, especially the $20,000 discount. I mean,
well, and yeah, the access control plus the document scanning is still less than what we budgeted, and his cost for at the next one, theirs is just like $4,000 less for just the access control than R.J. Young is for both of them.
right.
Big difference.
And only one company to deal with for both items, which is nice, I think, because it gives you more leverage if you got two different companies, you know.
Well, I have a question about the document scanning. Why is it not feasible for us to go in-house on that? Hire a part-time person just to control, take care of that?
I don't know, and this is just my opinion, I don't know that we've got the equipment or the staff. I don't know that a part-time person would be enough.
The software is a big deal with that. the software that they use is gonna be something that when anybody asks, hey, this resolution regarding what happened here with this specific road or whatever, we can put in a word, a name, and it'll pull up every document that's been scanned in there that has that. So it's very time efficient in getting documents together.
That's if we, from a legal perspective, if we have to go pull an old document, if it's not searchable, I mean, I would say don't spend any money, right? Like just scanning everything old in doesn't really do a whole lot, because then you just, instead of going through boxes, you're scrolling through PDFs. If you're gonna do it, make it searchable, or just don't do it, and we'll just keep going through boxes. But yeah, we have that, that's kind of the modern push, is making all scans searchable for efficiency. But that's, I think it's come up before, and we had talked before, just when this came up, I guess about 6 months ago. The technology and staff was not currently present with the towns. You would have to hire somebody, but then you need someone with the skills to know how to catalog that document at a bare minimum. That doesn't even make it searchable yet. So I think that was the thinking, at least, so that if someone brings up, hey, anytime we've talked about fire hydrants or any resolution on fire hydrants, that could be searched in an hour or less, not a week, going through everything, you know. That was the thought process. Of course, it's up to the council, and if y'all still want to go that route, I think it certainly does have benefits. But.
Well, I think there's more to it than actually was presented. I mean, I really thought that, we're paying this company to scan documents, and nobody told me what you brought up, so I had no idea. I mean, that doesn't make perfect sense. If we were to buy the software, I'm sure there would be a yearly re-up fee and all that, and you'd have to have somebody who's familiar with it to where, but, you know. So, this RJ Young is a 7-year, it's $26,310 a year.
No, that's for 7 years,
For
and this
7
one
years.
is for 3 years, so that was another big,
Okay. And so,
Are the files going to be stored on their server, or is it going to be stored locally so that at the end of the 7-year term, we still have
all
access?
documents will belong to us.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll make sure of that in the agreement.
yeah.
We have to follow our own everything.
Right.
so if you amortize this out for 7 years, it's not bad. If 26,310 for 7 years. Okay, that's something else I was not aware of.
Misty, I know they're going to be doing old stuff, and that's the mountain they have to tackle. Are they also going to be scanning in new things, or is that not part of what was?
That's not part of this.
Okay.
This was based on what they came in and they looked at the filing cabinets and they looked at the work that it was going to take to remove the documents out of like the minute books and put them back in, because one of their questions was, do you want us to return them? I was like, yeah. So, yeah.
But there would be an option that we could explore down the road of having them periodically scan new stuff. And hopefully it would not be at this cost. It would be something.
Right. Well, because we would already be set up, so,
Right.
yeah.
I just assumed that we would get caught up and just continually do that, so, I mean,
They're not going to have someone on site every day scanning, but yeah, quarterly or something, you know, more easily like that. They come by, scan, make sure it's all searchable. That would make sense. That would be nice, especially on recent stuff, to be able to go through that.
Yeah.
so do they estimate it's gonna take 7 years to do, or?
No.
Okay.
No, so they provide support, program, all of that. So that's like a 7-year term, that they're gonna do all that. So we can re-sign with them after that, or we can go a different way.
To me, it would make sense to just start with the new stuff and go backwards?
Is the older stuff, is it fragile or?
We really want to protect those documents and get them in there, because there are some older things that probably need to be taken care of pretty quick.
I would just think it would be more of use if we had the newer stuff in a searchable database.
I can talk to them and see how long they think that it'll take and how much they would charge to start doing the new stuff, if you want me to.
It needs to be done. If we're gonna do this for the whole stuff, we need to do it for all the stuff.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Does this database, will the public have access to it?
That's a good question.
No, they won't. It would still be through a public records request process, but again, that'll be a lot easier.
Right,
A lot
right.
less cost to the public when they want to see any documents. Like,
Right.
hey, right now, if someone asked for all the minutes of every meeting going back 50 years, that cost would be astronomical.
Right. So this would lower the cost of the public?
Once it was done.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Retrieving documents in that time is usually,
Sure.
it's like labor. I mean,
Right.
It's not the copies, it's the labor.
And it's also digital, so we can get it to them like that instead of in paper form, more cost efficient.
So at what point do we as a town just start storing it digitally?
Well, I think there's always going to be hard copies of some things, because I know companies I've worked at in the past, and, you know, the school system's not handling that much paper every day that they have to, I say that, but anyhow, in the private sector, they tried that in the past, and they've never, any employer I've ever worked with has never gone completely paperless.
There are certain documents we have to have the original hard copy of by law. So like ordinances, resolutions, things that get signed, we're going to keep the original of, but hopefully also scan it in.
I'm just curious what would take precedence. Would you make digital first and then make paper, or just stay as we are and do paper and then turn it into digital?
My thought is you should start at the beginning and roll up, but that's me, I mean, get the oldest in first and get it so that you can at least store it and have it out of the way.
Well, I guess Misty could come back, maybe if you can get them on the phone on an estimate, because if this is going to take 2 years, maybe rethinking the approach, but if they're like, it's 30 days to scan it all in, you know, that's not that intrusive in terms of then we can get right to the new stuff.
And then I'd feel bad for taking a 7-year term out and only taking, less than a year to do.
Well, still support it, because it's their software and, you have to go through that.
And once the 7 years is up, I'm just assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, once the 7 years is up, if we chose not to renew, we wouldn't have access to those digital files anymore?
They're ours.
They're ours,
They
okay.
will be ours.
I think what you're saying is just if there was some kind of software glitch or something, they wouldn't support it for free, or they wouldn't support it
Got
as
it,
part of
okay.
this package.
Right.
Well, what format will it be stored on?
I don't know that.
They're going to put it in the contract, and we'll look at that.
Okay. I mean, if it's something that's not PDF, then we won't need their special software to use it. But if it's something that has to do with the DocuWare program, then it might be something to.
Well, my understanding of DocuWare, I'm not a software engineer, is that that's the program that makes it searchable, and it becomes a searchable PDF. But they'll have to specify how they're doing that in their agreement.
I'd be curious to know. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, any other questions on document scanning? Okay, if not, we will move on to codes and permits. This is the Man's Produce property that has been requested to be rezoned. And no changes since the previous meeting.
What happened,
Requested the same thing.
what happened the first step?
Oh, man.
Checking, so I'm sure you're paying attention, that's it.
Oh, no, you're not.
I'm worried about Connie in the football game.
Well, there wasn't
I think
a number
they're
by
losing, so
it.
it's no big deal.
True, I would have numbered
It
it.
was like 4.5.
Okay, so 4.5, 4 3/4. There are going to be required changes to the First Federal Bank account, and has that been taken care of already or in progress?
So they are requesting minutes where we would discuss what we're doing as
Okay.
far as taking Linda off, putting you on, taking Melody off, putting me on. They are gonna, I think they're needing driver's license and possibly, I'm gonna have to check again, but I think somebody said something about social security card,
Okay.
and I don't know if they thought that it was a personal thing, or if it was the business, like when I was talking to them. So there was a couple of different discussions going on about that.
I've never heard them ask, because, and the only reason I say that is because I'm on the one for the church, and I did have to give them a license, but they took my social security number, the last 4 digits, but that's it.
Maybe I misunderstood, so I'll double check that.
If they need something in the minutes,
They do need something in the minutes specifically stating, and also, with, F&M, they will need a copy of the minutes as well, stating the changes. And, Miss Carol is still on the account up there, so that probably needs to be put in the minutes too, so we need to take her off.
okay. Well, to make it simpler, what we'll do is, we'll do it after the appointment of department heads and everything, to confirm that. I'll draft a 1-page resolution for each bank, so that way you can just hand it to them, here's the directive from the council. So that way you don't have to wait a month for the minutes to be approved.
Perfect.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now are we ready for coaching for this?
Definitely.
Okay, number 5. The Man Produce property, requesting it to be rezoned from C2 to C1, which changes the setback requirements. And there will be a public hearing which will precede this action at the regular meeting. Any questions about that? Okay. Number 6, public safety, discuss fire department equipment and financing. And in your packet, you should have kind of a subsection that is stapled together with different pricing quotes that we have received from different vendors. And there is also, after the quotes, the table with the quotes on it, the next 2 or 3 pages contain estimates, service estimates, and a list of what is wrong with each of the items, the ladder truck and the tanker truck. And I am going past it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so Chief Deal had given us the previous quote from E1 from Safe Industries, and out of the 3 quotes that we received, they were the only one that gave a multi-truck discount. Now, they had also built in a contingency fund, which NAPCO and TriStar Fire have not. But with the multi-truck discount, they still have a lower total for both pieces than the, no, they do not. Safe Industries has a lower total than TriStar Fire. Is it NAPCO or NAPCO?
NAPCO.
NAPCO, okay. The Rosenbauer, they had the lower combined cost. But you can also see the column over here where it discusses the availability.
Yeah,
about 2 years for the actual ladder truck,
Yeah.
6 months for the tanker truck.
I think that was depending on cash availability, too, wasn't it? On the road and bike.
I'll look and see, yes.
And this is something that we would go through, MTS to go, is that right? Not in.
Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund.
Thank you.
So Misty had given us information at last month's meeting, and if we were to purchase both items at once, we would be looking at an annual loan payment of approximately $150,000 a year for both items, and that's for 20 years.
And that would start next fiscal year, so the first payment would be due in August.
Yes.
They do 2 payments per fiscal year under that model, right?
I think it's 2 interest, 1 principal, is that, I don't have it in front of me.
It's not monthly, but yeah.
I thought it was 25
Oh,
years.
yeah, well,
I thought it was 25 years, it's just 20.
20.
But it breaks down to about 150,000
For 20 years. And it also includes a 5-year rate adjustment, so there's potential the rate could increase, but it could technically also decrease, potentially.
And we also have the option, right, if we wanted to pay extra or pay it off or whatever.
There's no prepayment penalty.
I will say that out of the 2 items, the tanker truck to me is the one that I perceive to be the most important of the 2 to replace, because the tanker truck, Eric, that's what you guys fill up and take to the scene. And so if there's an area where the fire hydrants where you cannot connect to them directly, the tanker truck is what supplies the water to put out the fire.
This is where I piss people off. Building on that, your comment, I think it had been known previous to the last budget proposal that this equipment needed to be replaced.
No, that was a tire issue.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what's funny about that?
Well, I really find it hard to believe that all of a sudden it just popped up, we needed 2 new machines.
Oh, no, we've known forever, it's just
Well, so if we'd known forever, how come it wasn't brought up in the last
same reason
budget?
as right now, because
I budgeted to put tires on the trucks this year.
Right.
Because I let them go so long. I had no idea that I was not going to be able to buy those tires. They haven't been available for almost 3 years, but I didn't know that.
But
Now I know.
from our previous discussions, a lot more wrong with these 2 vehicles than just tires.
I sent them to have their annual service and inspections,
Right.
and they didn't, and they wouldn't pass it. That's all.
the biggest thing for me, and I see what you're saying, but the biggest thing for me, like for me, and I'll speak for me, nobody else, I knew, with them being in the 80s, there's no doubt that they need to be replaced every time I
They're
go
2
down.
times past their normal shelf life.
Right, we
Right.
just,
For anybody.
but
I mean,
getting a council to approve this kind of money, I mean, it's just hard, because we're gonna, this is what I know, and this is what I've told everybody that I've talked to about it. If we buy one, and we don't have to have it for 10 years, they're gonna hang us in the street. If we don't buy one, and we have section condos burned down and 8 people die, they're gonna hang us in the street. So basically, it's a gamble, either way you go, because, you know, in my opinion, if if you get a chain of condos catch on fire, don't have a ladder truck, Dixon can't get here, I don't see you putting it out. Depending on how fast you get there, how big the fire is, you know.
There's a lot
of variables. Which Dixon's got a ladder truck, and they're within a reasonable distance. If
The closest one downtown.
they can get here in time. I mean, that's the, so, you know, I don't know. I mean, I agree with Mayor. I think the tanker truck's a no-brainer. It's just, really in our world, it's not a lot of money, but that other one, you know.
Well, I agree too. I think if we're going to act on this right now, before the next budget proposal, then it should be the tanker truck. And I just, and I'm not trying to badmouth you or anything like that. I just, because there was way more people involved in this, and, you know, if personally, if I'd known about this when we were approving the budget, I would have tried to cut back on the police cars a little bit and help the fire department out
I
too.
didn't know I couldn't get the tires when the budget came. That's the whole purpose behind all this. I can't buy tires for those two trucks. One of them's 43 years old.
And that's scary, that the fact that it's that old.
Right. I mean, they were past their shelf life when we bought them, but that's the reason we got them so cheap.
Just a couple of other things to point out, and again, not to make anyone angry or cause any angst, but the last bond that we took out for fire equipment, we still have 2 years' payments left on it, according to our audit. We still owe between $25,000 to $30,000 on the last equipment purchase. The rescue truck. And I have gotten a digital copy of the annual audit from the auditor. Our fund balance did not decrease last year because, you know, we had to amend the budget. We had some expenses that were greater than we anticipated, but overall the fund balance did not decrease. So that's comforting. But for me, I could stomach paying for the tanker truck because that annual payment's going to be closer to what it is for the police cars. But $150,000 a year for the two trucks is going to be kind of hard.
But what do we do, I mean, like Brian said, what do we do when we have that instance, you know, that I want to be the one to stand up and say, hey, we
Well,
can't afford it.
There's two other comments I'll make. One, Burns and Charlotte, they do not have ladder trucks.
They don't have the infrastructure we have outside.
And two, when all these townhomes started coming into White Bluff, and you can throw things at me, I brought up this scenario, is this going to be a problem because of our limited fire department, limited in size and equipment that we have? And at that time, everyone was like, no, it's not a problem at all to build all these townhomes or these homes that are 10 feet apart. And now that they're here, now it's, well, we've got to have a ladder truck in case the fire breaks out.
Well, and I do believe, and I understand what you're saying, but from my perspective, you know, it's just part of getting bigger and growing. You build the things, the services have to increase. I think, you know, and I think Charlotte, you got this massive courthouse. What are going to do if it catches on fire? You going to watch it burn unless somebody can get there.
Dixon Fire Department, they're in an automatic aid agreement with it. If anything happens to any county building in Charlotte, Dixon Fire Department.
What happens if they're already on an apartment fire building? And I know I'm like the, you know, like negative Nancy, but like, I don't like, because one of the comments that was made, I won't say by who, out of Burns, was, you know, we don't have to have the staff for the sheriff's or the police department because we've got the county to fall back on. But what if the county's involved in their area when you need them? I don't like to rely on other departments because you don't ever know. I mean, if Walmart's on fire, they ain't coming. I mean, and that's just, you know, I don't know. And I don't know that answer either. What do we do if we don't? I mean, we could buy another used fire truck, but you're still looking at $500,000 for a used ladder truck that's already outage.
If you can even find it.
And that's a good point.
Franklin, the city of Franklin sold a 99 model Sutton, an 80-foot platform last year. And it passed all the requirements it needed. It was old, it was outdated, that's the reason they sold it. they'd only brought $20,000. And the people thought we'd take forget it.
Where were you?
I was not on the gut deal trying to buy it. I didn't have the money to buy one. I didn't have the money to buy tires, didn't need it.
Right. Well,
I wonder if that, if that helps us, if we bought a 2000 model, if we can find it, ladder truck, are we, obviously we're better off than where we are now, but are we really doing anything?
Most of them, they're gonna have a lot of miles, or they're gonna be near their end of life when they get ready. Actually, so if you find one that's got some years left on it, they're just gonna have a lot of miles on it, and it's probably gonna have a lengthy service record on it too, because that's generally the reason they get rid of them.
Right.
Because they're so expensive, they keep them till there's nothing left.
And how long before we face the same thing, if we buy this one? Can't get parts, can't get tire, it's like a catch-22.
The only positive is if we do buy this truck, with the limited miles we'll put on it, we'll have this thing for, I'll be dead. So that's one positive, but but again, it's like you said, $150,000 a year. And so, I don't know what to do, honestly.
well, for our conversation last time, and this is what I remember, and I could have remembered it wrong, but we had the ladder truck for 12 years.
Yeah, or more. I couldn't think exactly.
And I asked you how many times you used it, and you said 4.
4 or 5, maybe 6. I couldn't tell you exactly.
Right, but still, that's
That's not
less
many.
than,
It's
that's
not
about,
many, but you got something that does 4 or 5 times what you really need.
but,
Kind of like if you need a special tool, you just go borrow one from somebody, or if you can buy it, you just buy it and keep it at the shop, even though you may not need it again for 4 or 5 years, but you got it there if you need it, rather than have to go borrow it from somebody. I know it's not apples and oranges, but it's the same principle.
right,
Listen, we've got thousands of dollars worth of rescue tools, sir. We've got thousands of dollars worth of nozzles and hoses, because if we need them, we will have them. We don't use all of them every day. We don't. But when we do need them, there's no substitute for them.
right.
That's the thing.
Well, the 2 things I was going to ask is that, and then the 4 or 6 times that was used, it was not a life or death situation. It was mostly property damage.
Yes.
Okay. And then.
Well, it could have been safety for us to keep us from having to go in the house.
Right.
So there was safety involved there, yes.
Well, I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just
So
saying.
you said there was.
No, I'm just saying what we talked about. You said it
You
wasn't.
said there wasn't no harm to nobody, there wasn't any harm. But if we don't have to go in a house that's already collapsed in, if we can put a nozzle over the top of it and put water in it rather than go in, milling around and moving stuff around, it's safer for us.
I'm like you. I would like to have all the great tools. And
We don't have all of them. We try to keep it us, take care of it when we need it.
right.
I just bought a combination cutter spreader, that was Bozu, Forces here, done some haggling and got a demo instead of a new one. That way we bought a couple other little tools to go with it. It was good, $14,000.
The ladder truck is available for the safe
The
industry.
one from Safe, it's available now, yes ma'am. And the tanker can be here by the end of the month.
So how long though is it available to us to make a decision?
Till this coming council meeting, I guess. That was what the letter of intent.
Yeah, I think they're gonna hold it till we make that call this time. And then, it might be there by the next council meeting.
And that was another big deal. They could provide the stuff quicker than anybody else can. Because anybody else, the ladder's gonna be at the very least a year and a half out. Even the tankers, they can still provide the tanker quicker than anybody else at the moment.
Will the ladder truck that Safe Industries has, do you know if it's going to be compliant with the new changes for the NFPA and the EPA as far as the emissions?
Yes. Everything has to have the DEF systems on it.
Okay. that was one thing that, when I asked TriStar Fire about, is the price going to be locked in, he said that that price would be good until the product was delivered, unless there were changes that the NFPA made or the EPA made. NAFCO with the Rosenbauer, they do not guarantee that price until delivery. They reserve the right to increase the price. They didn't say by how much, but if some of the parts or components increase, they reserve the right to increase the price.
I believe the pump systems on the older trucks doesn't have that boost, the boost system that the State Industries or even one has, with the smart pump stuff for the nozzles and stuff like that. So it's just about $30,000.
Do you recall what the contingency fund was for?
Yeah.
Is that to lock in the price?
I know the,
To hold it?
I don't know what that means yet, Mayor.
Okay.
I do know that, there was the graphics for the lettering and stuff like that was gonna be, there was, I
They built in a-
$7,000 or $10,000 built into it.
Okay.
And what we had picked was gonna be a very small portion of that part could be either taken off the deal or added in for some extra equipment or something if we wanted.
TriStar Fire, they also built in money for graphics. They just didn't call it out separately, so I wasn't sure if that's what part of the contingency fund was for that.
Do y'all, I apologize, I should know this number, but do y'all know, just off the top of your head, what about the average increase to our general fund is every year, at the end of the year, like, how much extra money goes in there normally?
I can look back on it and get that number for you.
I mean, because I just, I'd like to know, just gonna, at any point, I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be years where it's gonna be tight, but, how strained is this gonna, but, I mean, if our general fund's growing by $150 a year, I'm a lot more comfortable. I don't love that we would give that up, but at least we know that, over the years it's been there. If it's not there, that's a concern. What happens when we don't have the extra 150, If it was 5 years, I wouldn't really care, but.
I don't know if this is the time or the place, but I'll say it anyway. If we could do a special census with the growth here, just a roundabout, it was over $100,000 more that we would be getting from the state. So, as far as cost efficiency in doing the census, I would have to look at that.
Right.
But that might be another.
And that would be some things I'd like to look at, is, because I can sit here and tell you, we'll just be a very thin budget for the next 25 years, but we all know that's not feasible or logical. However, I think if you look at, because most people, and even myself, look at tall buildings, but really it's National Wire, it's the Pappy Complex, it's this building, it's, if we get a co-op at some point or something of that nature, I mean, I don't know, and it's one of the things that's going to be a hard decision regardless. I mean, it does help that I know how long we're going to keep this truck if we buy it. And I also know if we don't do it, at what point will we have to, because there's going to be more apartments, more condos, more commercial buildings. It's not going to get any better.
Except the price of trucks will go up.
The price of trucks will go up.
Every day someone will go even further up.
And it's, it's a hard one, but I hate to buy something, even at $20,000, it's going to fail in 2 years, and then I don't know. But I would love to think that there's $100,000 out there that we could possibly get. And I do admit, there's going to be people bouncing off the walls, but I do admit, I've never denied growth is expensive. And it's not all paid for by the people that come here, absolutely not. It's paid for by everybody. And it's just a matter of, a lot of people don't think it's worth it, a lot of people think it is, but at the end of the day, I stand behind that, you know, I don't like relying on other communities to handle our business. I just don't think that's a good policy.
Any other questions or comments?
I don't think our citizens will appreciate us buying both of these at the spur of the moment. I really think they would just go off the handle, so to speak. The people I've talked to, they're not for spending $1.8 million. And, you know, just right now, they don't think the ladder truck's that much of an emergency.
Well, I would counter that with how much do we pay a year for trash? You know, that blows my mind, you know, that you're gonna say trash is more, I mean, I know you're not saying that, but trash is more important than
In safety.
I mean, take your own trash off, let's get a fire truck. I mean, but you say that out loud, and I will say that out loud, because I believe that. If you know, this is our city. So, I think to be able to spend $200 on trash and have an issue with $150,000 on a fire truck is selfish.
No. White Bluff's just, I don't think they're there yet.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely.
I mean, I could see us making a special allowance for a $400,000 tanker truck. Because for no fault of White Bluffs, our water system is deficient as far as, so that would alleviate that issue.
It'll help, it won't alleviate it.
It would help.
Understand that right now.
Okay.
Right. It's not gonna alleviate it, no, it'll help.
But I don't see any other alternatives as far as that situation goes.
So let me ask you this question. If you bought a new fire truck, no ladder, just fire truck, what kind of money is that? You know, like if you had a tanker and then you had a, just ball, I know you can't tell me exactly, but I mean half?
No, over half,
Over half.
probably 3/4.
That's what I was wondering, is how much the ladder actually, because at some point, you know, you don't have to have a fire truck. Even if we buy the tanker truck, you still want to have a fire truck at some point, because the other one is out of commission, so.
You know, the tanker, it'll also, this tanker, for the new tankers, but they're all, they'll flash as an engine also.
So they go either way.
They have a pump, they'll flash it, the tanker we have down won't.
I got you.
On the ladder truck, it'll flash as an engine, not just a ladder truck. Because it has the pump and stuff, it actually has a 1,500 gallon net pump on it.
Got you.
And so you can use it for the firefighting and the ladder.
Do we have another engine that doesn't have the ladder, or is that the only one that we have?
We only have one ladder,
Okay,
one ladder and one tanker.
okay.
We still have two engines that have 1,000-gallon tanks, and then we have the rescue truck. And it has a small tank on it, just for car fires type things. One of these ones has 2,200 feet of 3-inch hose, and the one has 2,000 feet of 5-inch hose. Lowers the inner hose and basically move a hydrant. If there's a hydrant that will flow enough, we can hook onto it and basically move the hydrant 2,000 feet.
It's a big hose. 5 inches is a big hose.
It's a lot of hose. 3 inches when you start loading it. Inch and a half is when you start loading it back on the truck.
Is there any other information that you think you need before Tuesday from the vendors in terms of the quotes?
I don't think so. I think, you know, that's and I'll read through that tonight, obviously, but that's a huge packet. Everything we probably need to know. Availability is a big one if we're gonna do it, obviously.
Okay, So if there's no other questions or comments, we'll move on to streets and sidewalks. And you had mentioned, Brian, that you wanted to discuss having a street light put in at the end of Hatley Street.
Correct,
Okay. Any questions or comments about that?
What's Hatley Street?
It's down by J&J Insurance, and I did notice they got the one up by, coffee shop up Buffalo today. So that'll
And
be
they got the one up by the railroad track on Main Street.
That's good.
So I called them, and, you know, they had to string the wire again, and
Oh, yes, I do call, yeah, that's great. Well, the more lit they are, probably the better, I say, with this day and time.
Okay, and then the next item is discussing Highway 47 speed limit. There have been some concerns and comments made about the 30-mile-per-hour speed limit going out Highway 47 out to Pleasant View Road, and after Pleasant View Road, it increases to 40 until the end of the city limits. So, just wanted to comment that right before School Road, of course, that's where the nature park is going in. And Jeff, are they going to begin construction on that this year, this calendar year?
That's the plan.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so there's going to be construction equipment going in and out of School Road in addition to the normal traffic. Originally, when we discussed this years ago, we, as a council, had discussed keeping the speed limit 30 miles per hour until the Span Street area. If you look on the map, it's around where Granny's Kitchen is at. But the 30 miles per hour, Chief Fulcher said, had been moved out to Pleasant View Road just to kind of slow people down before the School Road intersection.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So,
My biggest concern, I'll be honest with y'all, so I agree the nature park coming needs to be taken into consideration because through that area is going to get a lot busier.
yes,
My concern is when it was 40, they did 50.
right.
If they had done 40, we never would have changed it to 30. Now that it's 30, they can do 40 unless you run into a state trooper. Our guys are going to give you 8 or 9 miles an hour. I think that's reasonable. And so there's my thing. Like, I don't like it either. I don't like going 30 all the way through. But if it was 40, I'd be going 50. And that's the issue that we have. I'm open for...
We can't win with this, you know that, right?
Well...
Because it's been back and forth for years.
I'm going to be honest with you, like,
And
you're never
we
going to
find-
get my
yeah.
vote to change it. I'm happy with the way things are. I don't think it's that unreasonable. But I realize a lot of people aren't happy with it, but a lot of people aren't happy with a lot of things. I'm not happy with a lot of things. It's just the way it is. I don't, you know, to me, if I were a police officer and if we lowered it or raised it back to 40, if you did 42, you're getting a ticket. I mean, that just, you know, because 40 is fine, but they don't do 40, and that's well known. And so I'm a no. So whatever you guys want to do, I'm leaving it 30 because I just feel like with the nature park coming, the growth, the school, I mean, it's not that much to ask to go 30 miles an hour for that length of road.
Well, I know we had to go through the state just to get what we got. Would we have to go back to them to change it to something else?
The reason that we went to the state was to get approval for that advisory speed limit of 20 in the area of Highway 47 School Road.
Okay.
That's why we went to TDOT, was to get that additional measure put
Because
out
they
there.
wouldn't give us a light.
But, I mean, the council can set the speed limit, correct?
They can, but when it's a state highway, we always typically have, you're required to have an engineer sign off on it, that it's reasonable for that area. It's called an engineering investigation. They're pretty standard and common. It usually only gets involved when you go down. I have to double check. I don't think they have to get involved if it goes up because the state mandates state highway speeds of 55. Now, within the city limits, if you want to go lower, great. Tell me that it's not going to cause a problem, is basically what the state law says. So if you went from 30 up, yeah, you can do that. They do set a floor of 15. I don't think we're going to go to 15. But, you know, I'll double check that, but yes, you, the council, have plenary authority over speed limits on roads within your jurisdictions as long as they're not an interstate or an access control highway. This is not access control.
So, I gotta say, I'm like Ryan, I'm not touching it. Cause we had them up here for what? I mean, it's just back and forth, and it's, no matter what we change it to, it's not gonna be good.
Well, I totally agree it's aggravating. I don't take that away from anybody, absolutely. Do I have a problem trying to keep it under 40? Yes, I do. But, you know, at the end of the day, I mean.
Under 40, it's 30.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying, yes. And if you raise it to 40, I'll be fighting to keep it under, I just don't think it's a good idea, you know.
Well, what we could do is, what is generally the mode for deciding this, is do the democratic way. Have a survey done, and if 85% of people travel 40 miles an hour, and set it to that, because that's the people that's spoken, that's what the people want.
Well, but my argument to that is, where were you when we changed it?
I was sitting right there,
But
when
all
Dolores
the right,
Christensen
where were they?
All the ones
complained about.
complaining about the speed right now, none of them were here to
No.
speak against it.
And
The
that's
ones
my
that were
point, like,
here were the ones that wanted that change because of school roads. So we did it, and I'm not
The
touching it.
ones or the one?
It doesn't matter, they were the ones that spoke.
I was sitting out there in the crowd, and I could not believe that it's like, bam, Dolores got up there and it was done.
But it wasn't real, I mean, not written, because we had talked about this off and on for years. We talked about a light, and we couldn't get a light, and we couldn't even get a school zone, because, so, you know.
Well, and I feel that, and this, like you said a while ago, to make people mad, the platform is not Hip Hop Bluff. If you want to come here and you want to complain and you want to ask for things and you want to voice your opinion, you will come here. If you complain on Hip Hop Bluff, I will not hear you, because that is a waste of time. Come to the meeting if you care, and I will hear your voice. And that's just the way it is. And if they don't like that, then I'm sorry, but I'm here.
But that's what we are. We're out in the public, and people talk to us via person to person or email or social media. They're talking to us, tell us what they want us to do.
That is true.
And so, like I said, do a traffic survey and find out what people are driving.
Well,
That's how they set
I'm out.
speed limits.
You guys may
I'm not.
vote me down, but I'm not.
I'm not touching it.
Out of curiosity, what's the speed limit on Old Charlotte Road that runs parallel to it?
30.
I mean, yeah, since you're brand new.
White Bluff Road's 45 too.
Well, yeah, but see, I live on White Bluff Road, and there's some people, I'll tell you, but I don't know, in my mind, Old Charlotte Road seems like it ought to be slower than Highway 47, even if it's just 5.
We can take it to 25. I'm perfectly
I-
fine with that.
okay.
I like your suggestion.
Main Street's 25, that's kind of
Yeah,
true.
but I drive it every day.
Right.
I drive it every day. And I've driven it when it was 40, I've driven it when it's 30, and I usually go 40, like I do. But and the only thing that...
Y'all know Chris is listening.
I know. Like, I know you can't, like, you look over there and you say, you know, our guys will give you 7 or 8 and whatever, and, you know, he kind of grinned over there, but when you got the other guys.
The other guys will not.
The other guys will not, and that doesn't seem right to play it that way. Like, it's got to be one or the other, and I don't know. I am not firmly in your camp right now. As someone who drives it every day, and in my experience, hitting it when you come, well, can you scroll down? What's the name of the road? Can you go south there? I come off of behind the post office.
Yes.
Behind the post office, and you hit that. From there to School Road, 30 feels fine, but that stretch all the way to Pleasant View, I get that it's to slow people down coming into it, but that stretch all the way to Pleasant View, which is where I'm turning,
Mm-hmm.
I'm I'm gonna tell you, I think that's agonizing.
And I don't, it's difficult.
I'm not worried about it, if everybody knows what I'm talking about behind the post office.
It's
there.
difficult, I've looked down and been going
they're good.
45 through there, I mean, it's absolutely, it's a habit, that's the thing.
But, they turn people, they won't let you go out one way when you leave there in the afternoon, which I think is utterly ridiculous. It's a city street, I don't think they should be able to designate and tell you you can't go.
And that's a big
the other
problem
way.
too, that's a big problem too.
What are we,
Because if they
School
let people
road.
go out, then there wouldn't be near as many coming out School Road.
what, I don't know.
You're directed different directions depending on what type of vehicle you are, like if you're a bus or a car or whatever, they've,
Who's that?
the school system, I suppose. Because what is it, you can only go,
In the afternoons, buses go out over to Hawkins Road
right,
and this.
and cars have to go back.
Cars have to go to the road, they will not let you go out the other way. And in the mornings when you come in, they don't let you go.
Who's they?
Schools.
The people that do school.
The elementary school, like the SROs, the crossing guards.
Really? They can dictate that?
I don't think you can.
I feel,
I
on
don't
a public road, I fail to see how.
I would
Any-
But they do.
But they do.
I understand that they do, but that,
What are they gonna do if you don't obey their signals?
well, no, I'm not saying as an individual.
I would like Booker to find that out.
I
I'm not
think it's
sure.
a safety issue, and that's why it's like that, because you've got all the people lined up along School Road to turn into the school. And then the buses are going out to the other direction. So I think it's a safety issue for the buses. I mean, that's
Probably.
I mean, they can dictate the buses all day long, because that's their purview.
But the safety issue is the cars versus the buses.
It's not because of the parking, they want the buses to have easier access to get out. Get their stuff out, and by keeping the cars off that area, it gives the buses more space. But that's like, the cars start lining up out there at 1 o'clock, some of them, and they might have to block half of School Road every single day. Every single day.
Does they know what buses are for?
Carl's gonna be there.
I mean, some of them actually sit in the lounge chairs and work puzzles under shade tree.
It's a point of pride to be personal. It really is.
Because they won't let you in until 3 o'clock, so they park on the side of the road. And it makes it hard for us if we get calls in it. Especially if we meet somebody in the middle of it, and they know where to go.
How do we get a traffic survey commission?
Through the state, is there a formal procedure for requesting?
As far as speed limit?
A survey of what you mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like just a poll.
You're talking about where they lay the cables down and they
Lay
measure
the-
how.
Oh, okay, you want to talk about traffic volume?
Well, the actual speed
Sure.
that people are traveling on that road.
You want one of those things that,
Gotcha.
Oh,
Okay.
no, that just makes me go faster.
well, I mean, but that's the only way you'd know that.
Well, no, they,
Lay
what
down
they
the
do is
cables
they
and they
lay down
measure it
two
and
rubber
then-
hoses, and they tie
Yeah, exactly.
one to the other and get an average speed.
I thought it was just for count.
I
They
thought
do
that
it, they do it
was
too,
true.
it's to get the count accurate, it's not speed.
No, they don't know.
Counting or speed?
I think you have to have a camera for counting.
Yeah, I think those are just
Well,
hard
it would be interesting to know, how do we get that going?
I can tell you how many citations we wrote last month on Highway 47, if you want to know.
I mean, that might be some useful information, because I think, I don't know, man, it's just gonna be, because like I said, Carl's not here, so we don't know what he thinks, so this will be interesting. It's gonna be a tight vote, I think, but,
I think the state's gonna tell you that they're not gonna pay for it, and you are welcome to go get a private third party to do that for probably a significant chunk of money. The ones I've
But
seen.
you have to have something that's official, so either the state does it or somebody who is certified.
Yeah, it would have to be by a licensed traffic engineer.
Right.
For sure, but, yeah, there's a lot of private companies that do that, and they're, the ones I've seen, especially subdivisions who wanna put in those pillows or tables, traffic calming measures, you can spend some real money real fast on one of those. So, I don't think the state's gonna pay for it. You can ask, but TDOT's not in a mode to pay for things that aren't on their priority
I mean,
list.
as far as they're concerned, 55 is the limit.
Correct.
I think that's good. I would like to see, maybe at the next meeting, like what tickets have been written on that stretch. Because, you know, if they're doing 45 now, what's gonna happen when we raise it back to 40? I mean, you know, and it's really not, if everybody would just slow down when school lets out, but I can tell you right now, they don't. I've picked up my granddaughter, and basically, they don't care. And so, and that's the big issue. I don't necessarily disagree with you that, you know, maybe we could lessen the length on the other side of School Road. But right there in front of that intersection, you know, before we lowered it, they were hitting 50 going through there.
I don't dispute the necessity of it in front of School Road. I don't dispute that.
We might could bargain. I mean, it's, you know, because when that nature park comes, you're going to have it. You're not going to be able to leave that 40 through there. I mean, I think that's because you're going to have people, buses and all this stuff in and out of that nature park. I think that's going to just, I mean, we'll just be lower it again. So.
Mayor, if I may, Jeff, were we trying to put something on the road in terms of signage? Is that why we went to TDOT? I just can't, okay.
Yeah, we put the advisory speed limit sign, yellow signs with the flashing light.
When you, like the 15-mile-an-hour type, not advisory.
No, it's advisory.
Okay.
Because they wouldn't let us go that low.
Or recommended, it's a yellow sign.
It's not enforceable, in other words.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll have to go look, but I'm pretty sure we can put special timed school speed limits on state highways that aren't advisory, that are real. And
Right.
you know, it says, you know, those say 15 and it's only wind flashing, like.
I've seen between the hours of 8
Correct.
and
I thought we looked
10.
into that, and they said we couldn't.
Yeah, I thought that,
Because it's on,
I almost
you've already
thought
got
we
school
talked
on the
about
record
that.
already.
Okay,
It's
so
too
that's
far
a fair
away
argument that it's not actually a school
That was the
zone.
reason they
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah, it's too far away
Because
from
it's
If
the
the
not
school
right in
actually
front.
emptied onto 47, you could do the school zone, but since it actually comes off of a road already, you already have a school zone on the
I
school
thought
road.
we talked about that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember to see what the options are at the moment. But yeah, short of just putting a different speed limit right there at school zone.
What if we just do it? What are they really gonna do? I mean, they're so slow about anything they do. We've had it for 5 years.
This would be the one thing.
Oh, if I were mayor, I'd do it and I'd get indicted. It'd be terrible. So that's why I don't need to be mayor. Because I'm like, you know, it really, the people that are angry should be contacting the state. Because if the state would let us have a school zone, I could make it 45 everywhere except for the school zone, and then you could go 45 at night and it'd be fine. But no, we can't have that. Why? Because I don't know. I really don't.
Well, and the complaints that I read, and like you said on Hip White Bluff, the things that I read, the ones that tell me or put out there, well, I don't have a kid that goes to that school. That doesn't hold water with me, I'm sorry.
Well, and the people that I've talked to have all said basically what I've told you guys. It's very difficult to do 30 through there, but I understand why y'all did it. If it saves one kid, it's worth it. That's what I hear. If White Bluff, it's not going to matter what you do. They're going to be mad because that's what they want to do. And that's fine with me. Be mad. I don't care. But I'm not changing my vote.
Based on social media.
No.
Well, when this came to vote, 3 years ago, Chief Fulcher was asked, has anybody been killed there? And the
Well,
answer was a big fat.
And that's the other argument. So we're going to do it until somebody gets killed, and then we're going to worry about it then. That's just, to me, that's...
Well, there has actually been 2 deaths in that area. I don't know that they were attributed to the speed limit.
They went and went to the school right over here.
Right, but, I mean, there has been 2 deaths in the area, like one on each side of that intersection. That kind of helped us get that dangerous intersection signage put up. I'm just saying.
It's definitely easy. I mean, if you put out the survey, I guarantee you the ones that are going to answer are going to be mad, and they're going to answer, and the ones that are happy aren't going to respond because they're happy with the way things are. It's just the way it is.
So my question was just if the signage was changed from 30 to 40 beyond Span Street, and it became 40 at that point out through the end of the city limits, would that benefit anyone? Would that make anyone happy?
That would make me,
Oh, yeah.
That's a long drive, Pleasant View Road, if you're behind
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I will tell you all this, if we're gonna, if it's, you know, if the consensus is we're gonna change the whole thing back to 40 and I have to give a little bit, I could understand that from span on, going back to 40, to keep the rest of it 30, I could be reasonable at that point.
And while we're at it, make it 45.
Hell, make it 55, I'm good with it from that point on, but if you do 56, you get the ticket.
Being from the great state of Texas, we have 85 mile an hour speed limit, so
I'm really glad
I'm
I
all
heard
for
that
it.
then.
Okay.
So next week, because any speed limit changes in ordinance, if it's the will of the council to do something, please be specific. We'll need to draft something if something passes for second reading in February.
Gotcha.
But it would be just like what we just talked, just
Mayor?
change it from span
From-
three.
From
where-
span
yeah.
to the.
Whatever the motion is.
And no matter what happens, it's gonna be your fault, I just want you to
Yeah.
know that.
You can point at me.
There you go, it's clever, Scott Clever.
I'll take the heat.
Okay, Parks and Recreation. So discussing a resolution acknowledging receipt and endorsing the White Bluff Parks and Recreation Master Plan. This was emailed to everyone because it's lengthy. Some of you have a printed copy. If you would like a printed copy, we will get you a printed copy. Any questions or comments, as of right now about it?
Not as of right now.
Okay.
Mayor, as we talked about several months, this is a requirement for future LPRF grants that we expect to pursue, particularly related to the nature park. So this is a required first step.
Master plan. Okay.
So was a printed copy distributed earlier?
You can request one, but it's in the email.
Oh.
See, he got one, she said.
Off my email at 7 o'clock this morning.
Just fine to have it all.
That's yours. Yep.
Thank you.
Just a simple resolution on Tuesday.
Gotcha.
And then under new business, discuss town hall digital sign usage policy. So there will be a resolution also. And does anyone want to summarize, or would you like for me to summarize? Okay. So there will be one person in charge of all the information that's posted on the digital sign. Let me scroll down here. So the content means information, advertisements, announcements, or any kind of graphics. Let's see. So each department, they'll have a way to discuss with the coordinator what content they want put on the digital sign. And let's see what else. So it's going to pertain to municipal services, events, public safety, or community information. Commercial advertising will be prohibited unless it pertains to municipal sponsored events or partnerships. So no ads specifically for Pappy's Pizza unless you're sponsoring.
There you go.
Yeah.
Why just one person is in charge?
Well, maybe there's more than one, I don't know, in case someone's out.
Right.
Well, I thought it would be a primary and secondary.
Yeah. So someone will have to sign off on everything that goes on the sign. So, again, Brian's not up here.
No
Happy
pizza.
pizza.
Yep.
Come see us.
And no happy anniversary.
Yeah, no happy anniversary, yard sales, none of that.
This is donate to the Parks Fund.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, so any questions about that resolution?
Well, just to be counter, why can't we sell space on,
Well,
like anniversary and birthday and stuff?
Why would we want to?
are there rules against that sort of thing?
Income.
I wonder if we could do it as a fund, like as a fundraiser, like let's say we want to raise money for something and you had an allotted amount of time that you could purchase for the fundraiser That'd be the only,
That would be a sponsored thing, so
Yeah.
if
So you'd be
there's
okay
5
to do-
spots from once a year during this week, or
Right.
something like that, for the town, then that would be considered
I got you.
one of those.
Okay.
Because I do like that. I would like to see us get more involved with fundraiser activities, just for whatever we've got coming. I don't know if that'd be the best way, but like I was talking to Johnny the other day about maybe going back and doing some of the tickets on the playground again.
The ones we had to
Yeah.
get rid of.
Uh-huh. Just to, I mean, anything I think for a fundraiser, it would be great if we had a project that we, you know, 'cause there's probably quite a few people that would donate if it does like they did in the past.
You should put one out in front of your complex, the happy
Good
shooter.
for that. Yes, I'm gonna rent the damn billboard, Paul, and put happy on it. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, whatever you guys, but yeah, I'd buy space on there for, if we had a fundraiser purpose, particular, something that we wanted to do.
Okay, any other questions or comments about that? Digital signage? No, so just to point out before we do adjourn, so the appointments will be considered at the regular town council meeting, and then also there's going to be a beer board meeting at 6:45. So we will do that first to get them out, and then pick up with the regular meeting.
Who is petitioning the beer board?
I think it's just a change.
No, it's Chapels is going through an ownership change.
Do tell.
Do tell
No,
us.
it's just that.
It's in
It
the
is
family.
moved about it.
It's in the family.
They just have to redo the permit application because the name is legally changing.
You can't transfer beer permits, so, gotta do it.
Okay. All right, so we don't need a motion to adjourn, we're just,
You get to say adjourn.
okay, we're adjourned.
I know, but I told mom, hey, 7:30, hey, he's like, my time.
I need to break.